Welcome to Digital Learning. I'm Pat Lesher, Director of Instructional Technology. Today's show is all about getting our teachers trained in technology. Joining me today is Sarah Trilson. Welcome, Sarah.
Hi, Pat.
How are you today?
I'm good.
Great. We're here to talk about how to do professional development, but we have one really great conference that we have has seen a lot of teachers from Pinellas, administrators, and a lot of folks going over there. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, but let's also talk about how teachers can get professional development in technology training. They really are looking for resources and training and things like that. So what's going on in your department?
Well, we have lots of different types of trainings. We've got online courses they can take, so if they want to take them from home in their jammies, they can do that. Then we have some courses that are blended, so they do some online at home and then they come in person for some pieces. We have our big smart blended 18 course that we've been doing, and then we also have some where they just come in person, and they're not online, but we offer some other resources for them as well. So lots of things with iPads and smart and technology integration.
Right, and we know we're going to be rolling out Microsoft Office 365.
Absolutely.
So we're even doing a Saturday training.
Yeah.
So we've spilled over into we don't have enough time to do this.
Exactly.
And then I know in a future show we're going to talk about some really on-demand stuff that we've created out there. So you have been busy, that's for sure.
We are busy.
So we've done many shows about FETC, and what does FETC stand for?
It is the Florida Educational Technology Conference, and they've had it for many years, and well over 9,000 people attended this year from every state, from over, I want to say it was 95 of the 100 largest districts in the United States had representatives there.
Wow.
So it's huge. It's not just a state conference, even though it says Florida, it is an international conference from folks from all over the world.
And you're right, because even our vendors come and they bring their national or international conference booths. So that's not just a table with the brochures.
Exactly.
We're talking booths with carpeting and hands-on activities and demonstrations and things like that.
Great speakers.
Right. And you can learn just enough in the exhibit hall versus
You absolutely
the
can.
sessions upstairs. Those are great. So
Yeah.
let's talk a little bit. We saw a lot of people from Pinellas. In fact, we actually gathered them at one point and asked them to stop by and just tell us what they're seeing. Not only your staff, but we did see some classroom teachers.
Yes.
It is hard for classroom teachers to come because it is during the school day.
It is, and so we try, and I know you try to make suggestions to principals of maybe having one or two teachers that year go, and then the next year another couple can go, or even talking to their regional superintendents to see if there's ways to get those TDEs and make that happen so that they can go and learn some of those things too.
Right, and it's not something that you just go to every year and you go and you experience it. We're really looking at people bringing things back to us.
Yes.
And when you go to a conference, it's great to get that information, but if you can't share it with everybody, then how do we get it out there? So that's kind of our role, in that we're going to talk today a little bit about some of the things we saw, and then we're also going to talk with some folks. And we actually had a group of media specialists that went to Brainpop, which you're going to show us later what's new there, and they came back and they presented to all the media specialists, who then will go back to their school and present to all their schools.
Teachers.
So you know, just even going over what's new and what's exciting and things like that, that's a really good way to get out there. So I encourage schools, if you can send one or two teachers to this conference. And like I said, not every year the same folks. We tend to go every year because we also have other responsibilities, such as state organizations, or you and I meet with the smart vendors or whoever we need to meet with. And then on top of that, we have to go out and find solutions for some of our needs right now. And this is a great place, rather than going online, actually get to talk to the vendors. So let's go. I think the website I have up there. So FETC is a conference that's held every January. It's in Orlando. And it was just last month, so we were looking at it. But not only do they have a great website with all the information, but even after the conference, you can go back and you can get materials, you can get presentations, you can go back and find out what your schedule, what you attended, because you are scanned and badged. So we did open a component for some of our teachers and our staff that went there. So if they're looking for recertification points,
right up here, those folks can use their new Veritend report, and you just go in and you put your information in, and you can kind of recall and remember those sessions that you went to, because you see so much over those 4 days or 3 days.
So, and then they also have information about the upcoming conference and, you know, what that's going to look like in 2016. It's going to be in the same place, but it looks like it's going to be earlier next year.
Yes, I noticed that.
So maybe they are trying to align it more with when schools are coming back, and there might be a day there where teachers don't have students and they're able to attend. So let's talk about the conference. It starts, and there's all kinds of things. There's workshops, there's sessions, there's keynotes. Can you go and show me a little bit or talk a little bit about some of these things?
I can talk a little bit about them. Some things are down now, but we can kind of take a look.
If you look under conference, I think that's where you'll see the actual descriptions, or actually like the sessions.
Yeah. So if you look here, you can see there's several different ways that you can go. Usually the first day of the conference, the kind of unofficial start, they'll have workshops. So if districts or folks independently would like to go to a little bit longer training, they can go to a 2 or 3 hour workshop. Those are usually an additional cost, and they vary on topics. Some of them are provided by different vendors. I know Brainpop had a certification one where you could become a Brainpop certified teacher, and you would go to the workshop ahead of time and get that information and learn just a little more in depth. And then they have, during the actual event, they have different sessions, and you can see there's lots of different things that teachers can go to. Those are usually 40 to 45 minute topics that folks can attend. They also have hands-on workshops. They had some other mini things in the vendor hall as well that you could go to learn about different STEM options and actually do some of those really cool activities that you could take back and do with your students and try out those cool fun tools that are out there now.
And if you look at those focus areas that you have up there, if you could just kind of circle those for us on there on the screen, what are you looking for? You're looking at how to communicate and collaborate. So there's going to be sessions tied to that. Technology infrastructure. So if you're a district TIS person and you want to learn about infrastructure, wireless technology, and you know, all kinds of things and networks and whatnot. There's that mobile learning, which is what we're big into.
All the kind of hot topics. Well, what's nice too is, just like we do with our deliberate practice, we kind of narrow down on what are the topics and things that are going to help you with what your intentions are. They've made it this way too. So if I know that there's a certain area that I'm really interested in, they've made it so that all of the sessions related to that particular topic. So I picked mobile learning. If I scroll down, it was really nice because it gave you an idea of who was speaking. Is it a school? Is it a company? What's the time that it's going to happen? Is it a workshop? Is it a session that I can attend as part of my regular admission? So it was kind of nice because it helped people to really narrow down so that they had a goal. And
if you look in there, there's a lot of sessions just on iPad, and that's just, you know, 1 or 2 days, usually Tuesday and Wednesday. And you're right, there's, like, let's read some of this. Digital storytelling with the iPad, nuts and bolts implementing a one-to-one iPad program.
So if you're knowing that you're going to be doing that at your school, it's nice to kind of get some
and some of them, one there is make BYOD, bring your own device program, work for you. Many of us are going down that road. It's great to go and listen to somebody that's already done some of the legwork, and we can share and lessons learned and things like that.
Well, what's nice too is you usually, I exchange business cards with so many people because you can then kind of have those folks to follow up with after the fact too.
Absolutely.
So you make those connections that will last beyond just meeting them at FETC.
So then we have, so those were the sessions, and those are most of the activities that are going on after the opening speaker. And speaking of that, that's called the keynote.
Exactly.
But there's also keynotes every day, aren't there? Like to start out?
They kind of launch the day, get you inspired for what's happening, and they're usually speakers on the big topics. We went to one on the first day, and it was talking about using games as part of education, and that's one of the big things that folks are looking at, is using games as a way to support the learning, or even, you know,
because we know students are gaming at home on their free time. So now we want to, and we've been looking at that, but I think it's starting to make more of an impact of how it's engaging the students. And all of a sudden now we're looking at how can we use some of those strategies in learning as well as gaming.
To help them, and how will it make a difference in moving them and motivating them.
So if you go up to the top, I think if you look at keynotes, and I believe underneath that conference tab there, if you go down to keynote speakers, you can see that some of those keynotes, if you want to go ahead, there you go up there, it gives their bios. So we had the opening session.
She did a very good job.
And you went to that, didn't you?
Yes. Yeah, and she did a phenomenal job talking about a lot of research that she's done with different universities, with folks on brain chemistry and how the brain works and how students work, and she's done a lot of research on just kind of watching people as they're playing games, and their attitudes and how they feel about things and how it makes them feel emotionally as well.
Oh, very good.
So it was really very interesting.
And if you scroll down, you see there's a lot on STEM. That's a hot topic.
Yes. They had a STEM Awards as part of it as well, one of their keynote sessions.
Right. So one of the big underlying themes was STEM, and we were starting to see the STEM keynote speaker up there, and a lot of STEM workshops. In fact, our Channel 14 did an awesome job of tracking down some of the STEM sessions and STEM ideas in the conference center, and they were there with us side by side, which is always great to have at the conference. So
it is nice.
That's how we're getting to see all this at this time. So
they followed us around.
Right. So let's talk a little bit. We had some teachers, one from Curlew Creek, and I think she came over for a workshop the day before.
She did.
She did the Brainpop. Was it the Brainpop Educator?
No, she was looking at the FSA, the Florida Standards Assessment, and how those things can work in the classroom and with technology as well.
Well, her name is Laura Clark, and she's from Curlew Creek Elementary. Let's see what she had to say about the conference.
I watched some different projectors, which the wide XGA screens, the next generation of our LGA screens that were our VGA screens that we have. Down in the exhibit hall, I saw some free things on PBS that I didn't know about. Great extra things that we have with Brainpop that I didn't know about. I have to find and add on to. So some things that I already have going on in the classroom that I'm just going to add to.
And you're right, we are using PBS. We've got it on our library resource page, but we got to get it to the classroom, and you're a classroom teacher, so you're going to take that back to Curlew for us, get all your other teachers on board. So I'm so glad that you stopped there and looked at some of those resources. It's awesome. Anything else in the exhibit hall that struck you?
Scholastic has a new science video thing that's going to maybe try to pilot with somebody, so I kind of tried to sign us up for that. I don't know if I could or not, but I would love to see those videos and have access to that we can use them for our ELA practice. The kids taking notes from those videos, and they're all right there. It's safe. They don't have to go find them, and I can send them home. Little flipped classroom going on. It was really cool.
I saw you yesterday. You took a workshop ahead of time, so what was that about?
That was I'm kind of here for our school, so I went for 4th and 5th grade to a Sight Lighter workshop. It is kind of like the FSA assessments that they have to take. They have to type in boxes based on questions that are being asked. It lets you create lessons with those boxes. So the kids can go and just start typing, and then, but not just that, when they're done, they drag their graphic organizer, which is what it is, into a Google Doc. And then they can peer edit, and then they have actually what looks like a real essay rather than just boxes and boxes and boxes of type.
Get to see that Laura got to see what other people were doing out around other districts, and she did talk a little bit about it, the FSA, and trying to get a jump on that. She'll take that information back to her teachers, share it with her team, and that kind of thing. She talked about the exhibit hall, which we really haven't even touched yet.
Exactly.
That's phenomenal. Kelly Dorsey, who is in our office, she also attended a session and a couple things, and we got to stop by and see what she had to say. So let's listen to what Kelly had.
Yes, we went to an Apple session this morning on different ways to how to kind of know some of the best ways to choose the best apps, because there's so many out there. So we have some strategies that we can take back to our teachers and kind of help them when they're kind of deciding what apps to use in the classroom.
What about that exhibit hall? Is that not overwhelming?
It is overwhelming and amazing and just awesome. So
I bet you haven't had time to get through the whole hall yet.
Oh, absolutely not. I think we were in there for 3 straight hours and maybe got halfway through.
So the Apple session, and I know you guys are doing a lot of training on iPads and finding the best apps, because there are so many apps out there. How do you decide what should go on?
Exactly. What ones are worth having, what ones are worth paying for? You know, those are all questions teachers ask us all the time.
And I actually went to an Apple session too, where I learned how the digital media centers are going to be transformed, how getting more digital content in there, and it was with iBooks Author, and able to create some content, and how teachers can, you know, use the iBooks Author. Kids can create their own stories and they can put them up there. So it's really kind of interesting. So Kelly mentioned the exhibit hall, and we said it's overwhelming. Why? It's only like, what, 1,400 different places to go and see?
It's huge. They were well over 400.
Go to the floor plan and see,
if,
just to give everybody kind of an overview. The third one down, there you go. So as it loads, you'll see.
It's gigantic. And like she said, it is kind of overwhelming. when you first get in. You can kind of see right here just all of the different people that are there. Some of them have really huge booths, and some of them have the little ones, and so it's kind of nice to go on and meet with them. There were over 400 of them this year who were represented, and like I say, some of them you meet even in a little back area.
Sure.
They have little meeting rooms too.
Right, And so if you just like roll over one of those, it'll bring up the name of the vendor, like Renaissance Learning, and if you roll over another one, so there's everything there.
CCS that we work with.
That's one of our companies that we do. So we wanted to talk to them about the latest projectors and some things that we were looking for. So that's kind of what our role a little bit is, is meeting with some of those folks. But just going through that vendor hall, and you mentioned, I know Scholastic had a booth where you actually sat down and you listened to a presentation, a lot of learning labs and a lot of different things, you know.
We went to one with HMH as well, and they had a phenomenal speaker who was talking about, you know, integrating the technology standards into the Florida State standards as well. So it was almost like a little mini session that was right in that booth, and we got a ton of inspiration for working with our 2 newer schools and with the other schools as well, just from that. And it was just right in the vendor hall.
Right, right. So that was great. Well, we talked a lot about Brainpop, so we're going to kind of switch gears here. And so now that we've learned something new at FETC, let's bring it back for everybody. So show us a little bit about Brainpop. What did you guys learn over there?
So we went to a little mini Brainpop session, and it was really awesome. We were in the room, and it was all with their colors of orange and blue and little tables, and they had computers set up where they could show us all the latest things that are available. One of those new pieces was a tool called Game Up. So if I click on Game Up, what Brainpop has done, like I say, games are huge, and it's what everybody's wanting to use, and it's the real popular thing right now. Well, they've actually gone through and looked at a lot of different companies that have games, educational games, available, and vetted them to see, are they worthwhile? Are they worth having students take the time to do them? How do they fit in with the standards that we're trying to teach and meet? And they've got those all available. If you look over here, I can see all games if I want to, or I can see them by subject area. So there's science games, math games, social studies games, health, and English.
Okay.
So if I take a look, we'll look at the health games. There's some really awesome ones in here. They've got the Immune System Defender, where literally you're going through and looking at different diseases and things and how you can guard against, you know, getting sick, getting illnesses. The Diabetic Dog game, which is kind of, I think, a nice thing for kids to be aware of specific diseases and what you need to do to be smart to not get them or to avoid them. Control of the cell cycle, Chef Sulis builds a meal, so it's looking at health, the digestive system. This one's really kind of awesome. In this one, you actually put the different parts of the digestive system in order so students can see how is food actually digested throughout the body, and are we putting them in the right order? Which organs do they go through?
Oh, very
cool. So it's
cool.
kind of a cool one.
So teachers can take these lessons and incorporate them. They would work on the smartboard too in a whole group.
Absolutely.
Lesson.
So they can put them up and do them as a whole group. They can assign them if they have computer lab time. There's actually a new program called My Brainpop where students can, teachers and students can sign up for accounts, and they can actually assign certain games to students and see if the kids have completed them, where they are with them. So they can kind of keep track of how their kids are using it.
So how do they do that?
It's really simple. I'm going to click right here first on My Brainpop, right up in the corner. Just get back. When you go to the website, just to brainpop.com, you'll notice a new box called Brainpop Educators. I'm just going to click on that. And they've got some information on getting started right up here. So if I'm curious about how I'm going to sign up for the Brainpop Educators account, if I go over here and then choose Getting Started with My Brainpop, Brainpop has so many great instructional videos. So they create great videos for learning in the content area, but they also create great videos for learning how to use the system itself.
Awesome.
So there's actually a little video that shows teachers exactly how to create their own My Brainpop account.
Okay.
And what happens is they are going to sign some information and say what school they're at, and then an email goes to our office, and we verify, is this a teacher who works for our system, because we do want to be secure. And if that is a teacher in one of our systems, we'll send them a special code just for their school so that they can continue that process and sign up.
Right.
So this isn't something where folks can just randomly from anywhere create accounts and pull kids in.
Got
They
it.
do have to be under our kind of umbrella in Pinellas County.
Great. And we were talking about how many folks from Pinellas went, and it really is a great conference, but there's a lot of work to be done at this conference too. It's not
Yes.
just going and learning and bringing things back, it's actually meeting with some of our partners, and you and I had a chance to sit down and meet with SMART,
Yep.
and you mentioned they sometimes have a little conference room in the back, and that was our a roadmap of where SMART is going with new products and stuff like that. So we really can't share because we like to hear what's coming before maybe the rest of the world is out. So we really
Exactly.
can't share what we saw, but we know that they have some new products out there. And we kind of sat down and they were, trying to figure out what our needs were and things like that?
Yeah, it's nice because you get together with everybody on that team that you work with, and that you work with at a distance a lot, and you get to talk about where you're going, what your new software needs are, and what new products and things that they have. And they sometimes will ask our opinion too when they have things coming out, if they think it's a good idea, and if we see things that need to be in there too to help improve. So
Right, and kind of what direction are we thinking about so that they
Exactly.
can do the same. So that's a very important piece of work, in that you meet with some of those vendors. The other thing is we are doing a lot of smart boards. We have resellers. We have a board that we have to hang on a stand, so we're always looking for the best stand that's
Yeah.
not as big as maybe the last one was,
Exactly.
but is quite as sturdy. We're looking at new things. One of the things I know, Laura's department, Laura Woods, who's our program coordinator for library media, she sent a couple of her team to FETC, and Jim Bentz is on her team, and he was looking at Kindles. We're getting more and more Kindles in the classroom. All of a sudden now, how are we going to lock them up, store
Keep 'em
them,
safe.
that kind of thing. So let's hear what Jim had to say about the conference. He was looking at some things, and then he saw some other things too.
We've been looking at Kindle carts. We've been seeing what the vendors have to offer for storing our Kindles to make them secure.
Do we have a solution back in Pinellas, or are we just kind of locking them up, or what kind of?
Yeah, we're kind of just logging them up right now, but it's nice to find different solutions. For a while there was a need, but we just didn't have the right products, and now they're starting to respond and coming up with things that will really work for us, I think.
What'd you think of that wall mount one? I thought that was a great idea.
Yes, I think so too, but I'm also looking at the ones with the wheels because, you can adapt to your classroom and even use it as a teacher station. I kind of like that idea as well.
So there you go. He's looking at different options. The wall mount we thought wouldn't take up as much room in the classroom, but then what do you do when you share the Kindles and you have to move it around? So sometimes you have to see it to make sure you're making the right decision and that kind of thing. And I do know that we've been struggling with the Kindle carts. I know our iPad carts are huge also.
They are, and it's always kind of one of those, there's so many different options out there, and you can't possibly have them all send a sample, so it's nice to be able to play with them, see how they work, ask the opinion of other people, and kind of pick the one that's going to do the best job.
And then the other part of FETC, we saw one of our supervisors, our Laura Rotter, who is our elementary mathematics supervisor, met with one of our partners that's really a big partner in Pinellas, which is
Yes.
ST Math. And a lot of the teachers stopped by the ST Math even to see our account executive and just, check in with her and giving her some feedback, and, even as simple as thanking her for all the hard work. That's a great thing to do at the conference. Some of our vendors are just so phenomenal. So let's hear what Laurel and Danette, they've worked a lot together in Pinellas, and now here they are in Orlando together.
I was actually at my math supervisors conference, so we stopped over here, and basically I'm here to meet with Danette. She's our wonderful educational specialist, so just happy to be here.
Good, good. And how's the conference going? Are you guys getting a lot of traffic here at this booth?
Very busy today. Lots of opportunity to talk with folks from everywhere. I had somebody from Canada today. We've had California, Boston, so I think we've hit like every corner.
So there you go. Laurel was there. She happened to be at her conference for mathematics, and she wanted to meet with Danette. In the exhibit hall. I'm sure Laurel also went around and looked at some of the other products, because a lot of times schools will contact as content specialists and say, hey, have you heard of this project and whatnot. So it's really good to go. I know Laura Spence was there. She works with the STEM program, and like I said, Channel 14 was right there following along, and I know they're going to be doing some sessions talking about some of the STEM sessions in other shows, maybe in her show or something. So it's really a great opportunity for a lot of people in Pinellas to go over there and do that. So let's talk about some other favorite things. I'm going to start with my favorite thing, and one of the things we also do is our state organizations always meet prior to the conference. So I belong to FICTA, which is the Florida Instructional Council of Technology Leaders, and so we have our annual meeting over there every year right before the conference, like a day or two before. And what it is it's colleagues, and I know you're a member of FICTA also, so you joined us, and it's us sitting around with people in all the other districts that have the same jobs as us, and they bring in some keynote speakers. Tell them about the keynote speaker from HMH that she came in and talked about all the jobs out there that we don't realize are out there for kids that require specialized training and specialized coursework, and that we can start preparing them and even just showing them those jobs. So her name was Mary. What tell us a little bit about what you took away from that one.
Well, it was kind of neat because she first gave a background of what she's been doing and how she became involved in STEM, and then she kind of was giving us a rundown of all of these jobs that are STEM related that students don't know about. And it was amazing as she was telling us there's one job in particular where you are the person that runs the heart and lung machines, and it's very hard to get that job, but you basically work for 12 hours a day making sure that the heart and lung machine, the blood's running through when people get bypass surgeries and that, and you make, in the hundreds of thousands of dollars a year for that job, and it's really only a 2-year degree, but it's very, very focused on what you're going to be doing. And I didn't even think about that as being a job, and she shared a lot of other ones, folks that are doing specific things with tool and die types of things, and organizations and building things. And what was neat is it's kind of that focus on those kids that maybe are really interested in those types of things but don't even know that those are options.
Right.
Because we only think of the typical jobs of teacher, lawyer, doctor. You don't think of all these little industries that are doing these little tiny jobs.
And some of them are high stress.
They are high stress.
You talked about 12 hours a day. They don't work 5 days a week.
No, 12 hours a week by law that they're allowed to work.
Right. So that's where we in education have to learn how the technology is driving those kinds of jobs. How do we expose students to that? And how do we prepare them using technology to be ready for that? So
and tell them and keep them informed on what's out there.
Right. Well, I know you saw a lot of good things, but we've run out of time, so I think we're just going to go ahead and wrap it up and just say next year, 2016, it's the middle of January, like I think the second week we come back from the winter break. If schools out there want more information, they can email you, or hopefully they'll find some ways to find some resources to send teachers, because I think it really is a teachers conference mostly.
I think so too. There's so many wonderful sessions that help teachers know ways of implementing technology in their classrooms.
Well, thanks for coming and sharing the experiences of FETC with us. Join us next time for more digital learning. I'm Pat Lesher, Director of Instructional Technology.